Each module will give you an overview of what the assignments are, what the content is, give you a little bit of probably some hints on how to be successful, and we'll try to keep it brief and to the point. When you log into eLearning, you'll see on the home page of the class there is a common use of news, and the news is weekly, often not too often, but try to do a weekly notation of what's going on, perhaps something that's going on campus to encourage you to maybe investigate or participate in, and also some information about how to contact your instructor. You'll notice that next to the word news, there is this downward arrow, and I'm going to suggest to you that you play with that, and I'll show you why. When you do that downward arrow, that's when you get a notifications option. So you have a menu of notifications that you can receive related to all your courses, and also in some cases a notation of a deadline. So you'll see at the top it says SMS, which is going to be a text message. So you do provide your cell phone number, and then you have a choice of an email, and you can use whatever email you choose, and that's an option that's above this table that you can see right now. So you can tell that there are Dropbox, ePortfolio, grades, news items. What I like to do is see when there is something. I like to use the text message most often, not necessarily the email, but this is just what I've selected. When a Dropbox is 2 days away, you'll get a text message and it'll say the Dropbox, and then it'll have the name, is due in 2 days. So if your class is using ePortfolio, if you want to get an update whenever grades are updated, you can get a reminder about that. And also I'm going to encourage you to choose the news item. You won't get the entire information in your text, but it will be an abbreviated summary. It'll have the heading and then a couple, maybe a line or two, so it'll encourage you to log into eLearning and read the news. You'll see that there is a list of table of contents. There is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the learning modules. And then there is a Start Here course information. This is the course overview, which is basically the catalog copy of the course. It also has the course objectives, and you can get an overview of that. This also is a WES course if you complete a PEGN class in at the same time. You'll find as you scroll down a little bit farther, there is a PDF of the syllabus, an outline of the class, a little bit about discussion guidelines and how to work through that, and then also a problem solver discussion, which is located right on eLearning. What you'll find is that we've chosen not to use a textbook, but to use a variety of resources. And these resources are going to be basically listed of what the assignments are in eLearning, but the work is going to be done on Top Hat. And you should be receiving an invitation for Top Hat soon. It's about $35, and that will give you 1 semester of access to the materials. And so for Module 1, this is what Module 1 is going to look like at Top Hat. There's typically a pre-class assignment, and then there are Module 1, in this case, Module 1 assignments. And it says right now that it's private because it's not available yet. So when I'm getting this ready, the assignments are not turned on because you haven't been invited to class when I prepared this. So that's kind of the introductory component of it. And so the key is going to be to take a look at the eLearning information overview, which will be kind of your touch point. And then you'll have your work itself. Majority of it is done right in Top Hat. The first module is about what is wellness and what does it mean for you. That wellness is really all about you. And the wellness is this dynamic state of the balance and integration of our whole being. And our whole being is our physical, our mental, our spiritual, our social, relationship, occupational self. And that path to wellness is related to behaviors, these choices that we make in our everyday to day living. And so wellness is not something that you reach, and it's not a destination. It's more of a process that you go through your entire life that can be including so much more than just you, but your community, your family, your class, who you associate with. Wellness consists of a number of components, and it's often viewed as a wheel, or it might be viewed as a continuum. And the circles that we have, if we put wellness or put you in the center, your wellness involves many capacities or many areas of your life. And there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, but I'm gonna I'm gonna say there's another one that's not circled on here, which I forgot to add in, and that is financial wellness. So some textbooks will just talk about 6, some will talk about 8, some will talk about 7. I like to get the perspective of the whole, all the components. So I'm an 8 fan. And your lifestyle choices are going to impact the quality of your life and the quality of longevity of your life. And wellness encompasses the life choices that are indicated in these spokes or these circles and have a bearing on a healthy lifestyle. And the one that you're most familiar with is probably the physical. Physical wellness has to do with anything with your physical body, which could include balanced nutrition, healthy weight, healthy concept of yourself, enjoying leisure, being physically active. The financial wellness involves living within your means, having a budget, for example. The emotional wellness has to do with your ability to have happiness, to enjoy life, and to have a good perspective and a good balance on, we'll talk about not having a victim type of perspective, but to be able to learn and grow from challenges. The social aspect, or intellectual aspect, I guess we'll go around the circle. The intellectual aspect is intellectual curiosity and always having a sense of wonder, curiosity, asking questions, not just assuming that what someone says is the end, but having that inquisitive mindset and having a lifelong learning perspective. The spiritual wellness involves purpose and meaningful component of life, knowing that you all do have a purpose in life. You might not know exactly what it is, and sometimes, it evolves over your lifespan as well. Social wellness is having healthy, meaningful, intimate friendships and relationships that you're able to have confidence, support, intimacy, not just sexual intimacy, but intimacy where you can be open and honest with, with another individual. Occupational wellness means that a person has fulfilling work, I'm sure we all know someone who just hates their job, and so their wellness is going to be influenced by that big portion of a 30-year life, or whatever portion of life, being unhappy because not feeling that you have that you're doing something that's meaningful. So occupational wellness is really important, and I suspect that you're all looking at something that you can feel that is beneficial, meaningful for an occupation, a career path, um, something that gives you a sense of meaning in your work. Environmental wellness has to do with a healthy environment, and that healthy environment can be in your room, it can be in your community, it can be in your city, it can be in your state, it can be in your country, it goes globally. So environmental wellness or healthy environment expands, starts from you and then expands out. So those are your dimensions of wellness. Now, as we look at the course, we're going to talk about primarily a number of issues that college students have reported, and stress is always one of the key components that students will experience. Students experience difficulty sleeping, not getting enough sleep, not getting restful sleep. Nutrition, balanced nutrition is always something that students are interested in learning more about, and even evaluating their own nutritional steps. And also illness, what we do to take the steps to stay healthy. And I'll be honest, washing your hands is a critical step in avoiding illness. But that's one of many layers that we have in terms of how we avoid illness, right? So getting enough sleep, lowering our stress levels, eating a good diet, taking the appropriate steps for health choices, vaccination, wearing a mask, getting a flu vaccination when it's time. So that is really the steps of, or some of the common issues that college students report. Now, to get an idea about where we're sitting, there's something called Healthy People 2030, and we have a number of objectives and areas that are focused on in terms of how we can improve in our health behaviors. And this particular one is involving sleep. And the baseline is 67.5% of adults and over get sufficient sleep. That's as self-reported in 2017. And the target value by 2030 is a small a small increase, honestly, of just a 0.9% increase, but that is kind of where we're looking at. So, we all have some room to grow, undoubtedly, in terms of sleep. Another one of the areas that are associated with that wellness wheel that I just have some baseline data on is nutrition. So improve health by promoting healthy eating and making nutritious foods available. So this is where you start to think about food deserts. Now this is a beautiful display of vegetables and a lot of color, and that's what we really want to focus on, is that color on our plate. And I picked this one because this was probably the best representation that would perhaps make you think. So this is reducing added sugar. And the data that we have for 2 years over, this is in between 2013 to 16, that 13% of calories are added sugar. The mean percentage of calories from added sugars. The goal is 11.5. And so one of the things that students often are surprised about is how much sugar is in their beverages. And that's where a lot of added sugar comes from. Or perhaps from fruit on the bottom yogurt. I'm not saying that all added sugar is a problem. In fact, notice that the target is not 0. It is not 0. The target is to decrease. And slow steps are often much more sustainable and attainable. Here is another concern. This is increase the portion of adults that with depression who get treatment. And about half of the people in the United States will be diagnosed with a mental disorder at some time in their life. And the focus that the health professionals are working on is prevention, screening, assessment, and treatment. And these disorders, if you can assess, screen, and treat, we know that 64.8% of folks are, and this is in 2018, this is the most recent data from the Healthy People 2030, the target is 69%, 69.5%. So there's a drive to increase people getting treatment, assessment, screening, and management of depression. And here is just a small piece of information about proportion of people who misuse prescription drugs, and 6.2% moving it down to 3.6. So as we start to think about where we're going to go with this topic, we're going to eventually pick something that we want to improve upon in our wellness wheel, and we're going to make a plan and reflect upon it throughout the semester, make some adjustments to our plan, and be able to see how to make those adjustments and hopefully how to change some lifestyle choices. So to improve our wellness, which again has all of those 7, 8 components, what impacts our level of wellness is one thing, is our lifestyle choices. So how we choose to live is a choice. What's important to you is what you're going to do, right? The environment that you live in, do you have clean water, clean air, safe neighborhood? Do you have groceries, a good grocery store in your environment, right? So access is important for environment, so that's also definitely impacts your wellness. It's important to know your genetic or family health history and what kind of risks that you have because of that. We do know that your emotional state does influence your illness risk. And there is a very, very strong correlation between people who are cheerful, positive, energetic, people that have an upbeat mood, and their physical health. Less likely to get ill and have less pain and lower symptoms. Also, healthcare. Having access to healthcare matters. And although healthy lifestyle changes are key, the healthcare model, having access to prevention or preventative medicine, is definitely a factor that affects wellness. Do you have access to the dentist? Do you have a yearly physical? Do you have access to, let's see here. I know I have a yearly mammogram, and that's because it's a prevention. It's covered with my healthcare plan. So having access to healthcare does influence your wellness. So how can we improve wellness? Well, One is focus on that physical side, be physically active, have a healthy diet, getting good sleep, managing our stress, avoiding use of substances, abuse of substances, limit our alcohol consumption, avoid risky behaviors, take care of yourself. And self-care can mean removing yourself from an uncomfortable situation, protecting yourself from individuals that are not supportive, and being an individual that thinks critically and makes decisions based on facts. We can also take other steps, and that would be developing good relationships, planning on how we're going to age. Planning how we're going to age. Now, you might think that doesn't come into play for you, but I'm telling you, what you do today influences who you'll be when you're 50. Learn about screenings and immunizations and the pluses and negatives, and then to be responsible toward your environment. So ultimately, we're going to have a project that goes throughout the semester where you're going to create a personalized behavior change program. And when that plan is in place, you're just going to follow it. We're going to make a plan that is not in stone, but it is mapped out with small steps that are incremental that will help you to move towards your goal. You'll be tracking yourself and also identifying if you have a setback, plan how to get back on track. So they're really minimally 4 different steps. And this behavior change program is going to be part of our essential studies component. And that is understanding how to make a change, how to adapt, and how your lifestyle choices are impacting the global environment. Our second project is going to be involving a video, a documentary, and doing some research about sustainable practices. Look forward to working with you this semester, and I welcome you to class and thank you for being attentive.